Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be helping you to solve a bearings problem. So the problem that we're going to be solving is two planes simultaneously take off from the same airport. Plane A flies 400 miles per hour at north 20 degrees east. Plane B flies 500 miles per hour at south 30 degrees east. How far apart are the planes after 3 hours? What are the bearings from plane A to plane B at the end of the 3 hours? So the first thing that we want to do is set up our diagram. So as you can see, I've correctly labeled the triangle so that we have P at the coordinate points 0, 0, and then we put A up here and B down here. Since we know that A flew off at north 20 degrees east, it's going to swing over 20 degrees. And similarly with point B, it swings over 30 degrees. Make sure when you do this that you label your axis north, east, south, west, and that just helps when you're trying to write down your bearings. So we know that since plane A flew 20 degrees at 400 miles per hour, we know that 400 times 3 hours is equal to 1,200 miles. And similarly with B, we know that traveling at 500 miles per hour times 3 hours is 1,500 miles. So the second thing that we're going to do is think of, well, this is just a note, but think of a parallel line running from point A to the x-axis. This is going to create a transversal, and it's just going to make finding this part so much easier. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find x, which is part of angle P. So to find x, we're going to add that dotted line from point A down to the x-axis. And what that's going to do is that's going to make 20 degrees here and 20 degrees in here too. So since we know that this is 20 degrees and this is also 20 degrees, and this is a right angle over here, so 90 degrees, 20 plus 90 equals 110, so we know that x has to be 70. And down here we're going to do the same. We know that since this line swings over 30 degrees, y has to be 60 because this is a right angle too. So 90 plus 60 plus 30. Alright, so next, now that we know that right here is 70 and this is 60, 70 plus 60 is going to equal 130 degrees in total for the P angle. So now that we know that this up here is 1,200 miles and this is 1,500 miles, we can use the law of cosines. So the law of cosines says that, just for example, P squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine P. So what we're going to do is we are going to plug in our different side lengths and our P angle length, because since we have side angle side, we can do that. So after plugging that in, we have P squared, and then our measure of side A, and then side B squared, and then those add together, or multiply together, and then cosine P. And after that, you're just going to plug that into your calculator and see what you get. So what you get, this is your answer of P squared, not just P, be aware of that, is this very, very large number. So now what you're going to do is you're going to find the square root of that answer just to get P. And P, like lowercase p, is going to be right here. That's your distance from A to B. So after finding the square root of that, you're going to get that lowercase p is equal to 2,450.3, just about. So with that information, you can now use the law of sines. And that says that sine angle A over side A is equal to sine B over side B. So we just plugged in our angle P, so which is sine 130 degrees over our lowercase p side, and that's 2,450.3. And then we're going to set up a proportion to equal that to sine B, which is going to be our angle measure right here, over the side length, which is 1,200. And you're going to treat this like just a regular equation. And, oh, pardon me. And this is what you're going to do. So you're going to have sine 130 degrees times 1,200 over the side length of lowercase b. And that's going to equal this. Just be aware, since you are solving for a angle measure, you're going to want to find the inverse. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the correct answer. So after find the inverse, which is, by the way, second the sine button on the calculator, you're going to get just about 22 degrees. And you want to round that just so it makes it easier to solve for the other angle. So next, now that you have your measure of b, you're going to find your measure of a. And you don't need to set this proportion again just because you already have two angle measures and you know that they have to, in total, everything has to add up to 180 degrees. So after subtracting 180 degrees minus 130 and 22, now you're going to get that angle A measures to 28 degrees. So now with this information, we can set up another transversal just along point P and extending a line from there to the x-axis. So once again, we know that right here is 70, and since it swings over 20 degrees, then it's going to be the same up here. So from point A down to the x-axis, that is going to be 20 degrees. That makes this little sliver connecting from A to B 8 degrees. So now that you know that, your bearing must be south 8 degrees east, and that's after 3 hours.